Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. So today I'm going to be taking a little bit of a step outside of my comfort zone and doing something very new. I am going to be playing a visual novel game created by a small team called Studio Clump. It looks like it's a four-person team. The game is called Stillwater Remastered. This game actually won first place at Spooktober Visual Novel Jam back in 2021. Um, so really excited to check out something very new to me. I think there are multiple endings to this. I'm probably just going to go through and get whatever ending I end up getting. I think is going to be my goal for this playthrough. Um, Maybe we'll check out the others. I'm sure someone else has a video on those that we could check out as well afterwards. But um, yeah, sit back and relax. Hopefully enjoy my playthrough slash read through of Stillwater. Let's go ahead and dive in. This music is called Warehouse. I'm sorry, but I can't stay here anymore, Nina. I feel like I'm going crazy. Calm down. We can just talk it out. So many strange things keep happening one after another. Every day there's this damn dripping sound. I thought it was just something leaking at first, but I check every faucet, every ceiling, everything, and still I hear it everywhere, constantly echoing in my ears. Please listen to me. Oh, but the water, that damn water. Water? Yes, it's everywhere. Pools of it are all over the house, and every time I try to mop it all up, another will appear. There's no end to it. Ah, but it's at night. It's at night when it comes. What are you talking about? I hear someone or something walking along the hallways at night. Maybe it's just my grandfather. No, Nina, it's not him. I thought it was, but it's not. But I've seen it. That thing. I only glimpsed at it once, but I'm more than certain that thing was not your grandfather. Ever since that night, I would lock my door and pray it would walk past my room. I don't know what's going on, but I swear it just keeps walking. Always walking on pools of water. Sometimes I hear them randomly. Their steps are erratic and faint, but I can still hear them. Just this steady pace up and down the halls. But I think recently, it's no longer like that. What do you mean? Every morning, I follow to see where the wet footprints lead. It walks towards something, more clearly than before. It would walk down the halls, climb the stairs, and turn corners. All of it, I'd follow. Eventually, the trail would come to a stop. And it would all stop, right by your grandfather's room. His room? If this is some sick joke to scare me away, then please stop. It's not a joke, Nina. I meant when I said that there is something wicked going on in this house. That can't be true. I know this is a lot, but you have to believe me. I can't stay here any longer. I'm sorry, Nina. It's okay. I understand. Thank you for taking care of my grandfather up until now. And I'm sorry for all the stress I've caused you. I'll be sure to pay you right away as soon as I... Nina, listen to me. I don't know what's happening around here, but... The woman on the phone cautiously looks around, turning her head constantly back and forth, looking over her shoulder to find if any others listening in. She grips the phone so close to her ear in a vice-like grip, before speaking again in a hushed tone. Something terrible is lurking in this house. I don't know what it is, but please, as soon as you get back, take your grandfather and just leave this place. Leave? I can't just leave everything behind. We have nowhere else to go. Please, Nina, this place is not safe. The rumors, they're true. The curse is real. My family is not cursed. But Nina, at this rate, you and your family will... Enough. A pause. Cold and sharp tenseness strains the call as both women, exhausted and stressed beyond their comfort, try to stifle their growing frustrations towards one another. Neither yielding to the other's thoughts, only leaving anger and hurt to fester through the silence. After what feels like a suffocating stillness, Nina finally sighs heavily and responds bluntly to the caretaker. Look, I don't know what you heard or saw, but I can't just leave things like this. Whoever or whatever they are, they will answer to me. I won't let them have their way. I don't have time wasting my energy on this stupid curse. So if you can't help me, then so be it. I'll find a way. Nina? My grandfather is all I have left. He's all I have left. Oh. Phone hangs up. 7 a.m. In the diner. Amid a foggy morning, there sits a man by the corner of a booth. He drinks black coffee and, depending on his mood, occasionally orders a donut. And today, it was just black coffee. Hugo. Ugh. I swear, I've never seen that amount of paperwork in my life. Freaking mountain worth of it. You're a valuable member of our team, Hugo. My foot. I'm starting to believe that I was bamboozled into joining their agency. Hugo Laurent? I'm not sure. Age 30, takes a good look at his cup of joe and chugs it all in one sitting. He then continues to grumble to himself about last night's grueling work at the office. If anybody knows how to say the last name properly, let me know. I really need to find a different job. As he contemplates his poor life choices, he looks out towards the early mist. There was something inherently terrifying about the fog to him, how it engulfs everything and nothing. Even if it disappears, it always leaves behind traces. Proof of it remaining. Even in a quaint little town like this, I can't even run from my fate, I guess. Ooh, let's go saxophone. Okay. Hugo finally stares at the compiled newspaper clippings he put together. Some of them from recent events, but mainly all were past headlines of missing person cases. No matter how many times I see this, it's still just as hard to look at. Fixating case after case, he can't help but remind himself that there is a reason for all this. An all too personal reason. Seeing strange things come with a price. In the end, I'm the one doing this to myself. Sounds rough. And if I join? Kuya? An annoyingly familiar voice interrupts his train of thought. He slowly looks up to see the one responsible, although reluctantly. Good morning, Hugo. Hugo scowls and turns away from him, He then gathers the files and shoves it back into the binder. Meanwhile, the tall man takes this as an initiative and sits at the opposite end of the booth. He greets the waitress passing by and orders himself the hefty body breakfast special with an extra plate. As usual, the waitress is happy to oblige and goes back to the counter to relay his order. The man then looks back at Hugo. He sees the empty cup and the now jumbled newspaper clippings, all the while Hugo is trying to ignore him. He really should eat something with that black coffee. Not ordering any donuts today. I'm fine, Noah. I'm just not in the mood, okay? Not even a little? There is a momentary silence between them before Noah disturbs it once more. Well, too bad for you. I ordered a big breakfast for the two of us. Two? As if the world could grace Noah with an even more perfect punchline, the food arrives. Why the hell did you order for the two of us? Just eat what you want to eat. Don't worry about me. Wow. Makang Masarup? Right, Hugo? Are you even listening to me? Come on. We both know that if you don't eat now, who knows when you will, and I'm not about to let you faint again. So, open wide. Noah De Leon, age 27, a natural-born charmer, is also the only person in the world who lovingly threatens him to eat every day. With a pensive look, Hugo finally gives in and eats the generous spoonful without further complaints. It's good, right? Good food will always help cheer you up. Damn him. I got swept away again. Oh, by the way, the chief will be out for a business trip. She mentioned it will be for a couple of days. When did she tell you this? I didn't hear anything about it. Yesterday, I think. Yesterday? She told me to sort out the cabinets yesterday. She didn't mention anything about a business trip. I guess it was a pretty sudden one. Well, I mean, she did tell me to tell you. And lucky me, I know where you go every morning. You know what? I'm not surprised anymore. Well, what do you want to do? We technically have the day off. I'm gonna head back to the office. There's a couple of boxes I didn't get a chance to sort out. In that case, I'll come with you. Why? You could just rest for the day. And pass up this opportunity to get to know you better, Kuya? Quit it. After their enlightening banter, the two of them finish their breakfast, pay for their meals, and head to Hugo's car. I like the look on Hugo's face. As Noah opens the door to the passenger seat, he notices a bloodhound sleeping inside. Oh, bloodhound. Huh. Cute. The big dog stirs at the sound of the car opening and lazily stares at Noah. Ah, I'm sorry, big guy. He then closes the door while trying not to make too much noise to disturb its occupant. Colby. The sound of his name, his eyes, whoop. His heavy-lidded eyes slowly peek to see who calls for him. It is his one and only partner, his human. As if finally realizing who he is, or where he is, the old bloodhound stirs up from his sleep, pounces at Hugo, and proceeds to wag his tail uncontrollably. Woof. Good morning again, Colby. Had a nice nap? Colby, 8 years old. Hugo's most faithful and loving partner in crime, has the biggest tendency to just sleep all over the place. Noah, who is witnessing all of this from the back seat, chuckles to himself. He is amazed and slightly defeated at Hugo's sudden surge of energy. Ha! Doesn't matter how many times I try, when it comes to boosting up his mood, no one can beat Colby. Agency, 7:50 a.m. The three head back to the office. The space is just the same as Hugo left it. A decent, organized mess. looks dusty. To his credit, for the amount of boxes he painstakingly went through, he believes he did a fair job. Albeit, it could have been better. Wow, you really outdid yourself, Hugo. It looks less crowded. Ah, shut it, will you? I said I was gonna get to it. Thanks, boy. Before Hugo could continue to give deserved head pats, he notices someone. A woman stands timidly peering outside from the storefront. She looks a bit frantic and even more restless with her disheveled and ill-fitted clothes, drawing emphasis to her already too visible petite frame. The woman tries to grasp the door handle several times, but stops before she could touch it. Her brows furrow, agitated and distressed about something. So much to the point that it's preventing her from just simply reaching out for help. However, when she finally makes eye contact with Hugo, she immediately rushes in. Is this Nina? I'm so sorry. I know that the close sign is up, but I saw you come in and I... Are you alright, miss? I need your help. My grandfather, Oh, it is Nina. Before she can continue explaining, Noah swiftly cuts in front of Hugo and intervenes in all too practiced manner. It's okay, miss. We'll hear what you have to say. So please, why don't you sit right over there? Noah gestures to one of the empty seats at the other side of the office. The poor woman hesitates for a moment. She clutches desperately to the strap of her purse, her eyes focusing apprehensively on them, and at the gestured seat. After mulling over Noah's offer, she quickly glances back and nods. The woman then walks towards the corner of the room and sits at the edge of the sofa. Her posture is wary and tense, giving no sign of comfort for even this brief moment of peace. Can you start off by telling us your name? I apologize for earlier. I'm usually a bit more composed than this, but I guess I'm failing at that too. My name is Nina Mortimer. This track is called Silence. Ah, hello, Miss Nina. My name is Noah de Leon. I am one of the assistants here. That big guy next to you is our lovely assistant, Colby. And the one brooding over here is Private Investigator Hugo Laurent. I'm gonna say Laurent. I'm not brooding, I'm just tired. And our chief is away on business, but I think we can still accommodate you. So how can we help, Miss Nina? For just a moment, Nina appeared a bit more lax, more hopeful, maybe even relieved from this warm welcome. However, she once again tenses up. The guilt and shame come rushing back to her, visible by the creases on her brow, as she once again realizes why she is here. I need help watching over my grandfather tonight. Tonight? Yes, I know this is a strange request, but my hands are tied on this. It has to be tonight. I'm sorry, Miss Nina, but I don't quite understand. Is your grandfather in any danger? I think someone's trying to take him away. Take him? Miss Nina, I think you should contact the police right away. They're far more equipped at handling this kind of situation. No, they're not. I've tried requesting their help, but they've given me the same answer verbatim for weeks now. They would send someone out to watch over the manor for the entire day. By the end of their routine, they would always report back, nothing unusual. They saw no one else leaving or arriving at the house other than me or the caretaker. And despite telling them all in detail about the letters and all the strange things that had been happening, there is nothing they can do about it, but just sit around until it escalates even more. I can't wait any longer. Any more than this, then it'll all be too late. If only I knew who Luis was. Louis? Luis? Louis? She lets out a gasp, her hands shot over to cover her mouth, realizing she had said too much so carelessly. She tries to avert their gaze, but Hugo stares persistently at her. Miss Nina, who is Louis? Louis. I'm gonna say Louis. I don't know. Are they the ones causing all this? I don't know why I'm giving everybody French accents on their names. Once more, she contemplates, her brows knit closely together as she bites her lips nervously. It's as if the words she wanted to say have suddenly died out, too heavy to even utter. A mistake she can't take back. Before the silence stretches further, Noah speaks to Nina with a gentle and reassuring tone. Miss Nina, I know it's scary. All of the things you mentioned to us so far, no one should ever have to experience, especially by themselves. And I assure you we'll listen to all of it. I promise. Wild and manic eyes search deeply at them, trying desperately to discern any doubt or mistrust on their faces. However, all she sees are people who are willing to give their time to simply listen to her, to actually help. From this alone, Nina looks to the side where her purse is and opens it. Tucked inside one of the pockets, she takes out a single, slightly crumpled envelope with a pigmented red wax seal pressed in the middle. At a glance, Hugo can tell right away that this letter appears to be a bit worn out and antique. And yet, despite its delicate form, it remains well preserved, well kept. It's as if the letter itself was untouched by time, forever waiting to be opened. Grandfather has been receiving cryptic letters for the past month now. The letters didn't come with an address or the name of the sender, but this one is different from the rest. This had the name Lewis on it. As she hands over the letter, Hugo notices her hand slightly shaking. Nina is still avoiding his gaze, but he knows she is trying in earnest. Ooh, that's kind of creepy. But before he could reach out his hand, he senses it. A faint shift in the room, unnoticeable to the others, but all too glaringly clear to him. There is something very wrong with this letter. Suddenly, Hugo recoils his hand away in pain, like being struck with something sharp so spontaneously, so memorable that even if the pain disappears within seconds, a hint of it remains. Something so small, akin to a prick from a rose's thorn, or more like a paper cut. Paper cuts do hurt. Are you all right? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. No, I'm fine, Miss Mortimer. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Hugo stares squarely at the cut. A thin red line starts to form slowly by the top of his index finger, trailing down and stopping just above the first crease. Red so clearly visible it's taunting. That doesn't look like a normal paper cut to me. Let me get you a band-aid. It's fine, Noah. I don't need one. But really, it's fine. It doesn't even hurt that much. Noah takes one good look at him before sighing exasperatedly. I can't say that word. And sitting back down in his chair, still eyeing on Hugo's hand. Hugo shrugs and returns his attention back to the letter. But this time, luckily, nothing happens. For it to reach all the way here with just a letter alone is truly terrifying. He seems to know something about this. Carefully, he removes the content of the envelope and unfolds it. At first, it looks like any other normal written message. A person named Lewis is asking the other, Henry, to come meet him by the lake at midnight, needing to share something important with him. However, what's eerily striking about this is not the letter itself. Peering at the bottom of the page, a message scrawled, unlike the rest, stands visibly out to Hugo. A message that shouldn't be there. Remember our promise, Henry. When did you receive this letter? Yesterday. And your grandfather? Where is he right now? He's currently back at the house with the caretaker. I promised them I wouldn't be for too long. I made an agreement with them, you see. Oh, what sort of agreement? The caretaker we have now agreed to watch over my grandfather, but only during the day. Before nightfall, they would leave exactly at the same time. Before nightfall? I wanted to believe that this whole thing was an elaborate scheme to scare my family away. I know this sounds crazy, but at one point, I thought everyone was in on it. The mail carriers, the officers, the caretakers. Everyone had a hand at making our family suffer. But this one was different. Up until now, I've never heard of anyone by that name. Not a relative or a family friend. But they clearly know who Grandfather is. If I don't do something about this, I'll lose him too. Just by uttering the words alone, Nina begins to break down. The stress, the anxiety, the fatigue of all of it was finally catching up to her. Her body hunches forward, her hands press close to her eyes as she tries to cover the stream of tears running down her face. As an act of comfort, Colby sits closer to Nina while Noah fetches tissues for her. Aw. Hugo, on the other hand, is puzzled. She said this whole thing has been going on for the past month, but something doesn't add up. Before nightfall, I think there's more to this she is not admitting. Whatever happened with the letter, I am more than certain that whoever or whatever Lewis is, they're coming for blood. Oh. Reject the case? Take the case? We gotta take the case, right? I'm taking the case. Do you want more tissues? We'll do it. We'll take on your case. For a moment, everything goes still. Their eyes and attention are solely directed at Hugo, whose eyes have a certain glint to them, now unwavering and more determined than ever. Before anyone else speaks, Nina stands up, wipes away any stray tears from her face, and walks up to him. You'll take it? Hugo simply nods. Thank you, thank you. You don't know how much this means to me. We're glad to help, miss. Nina, please just call me Nina. Well, Nina, we'll do our best. Nina smiles at Hugo and Noah in gratitude, her eyes renew with a faint gleam, a hope that maybe things will change for her and her family for the better. However, before heading out, Nina reaches into her bag once more. She takes out a small piece of paper and a pen and hastily starts jotting down something. I best be 4970 Church Street. I best be on my way now. I'll let Grandfather know ahead of time you'll be coming. Also, this is my address. I'll be sure to greet you all when you arrive. And thank you again, truly. She politely bows to them and walks out of the office, already reaching into her purse for her car keys. Hugo watches from his desk as she goes to open the driver's seat. Nina looks back at the office window, takes one last look at Hugo. She waves slightly at him before finally pulling out of the parking lot and driving off. Once out of sight, Hugo turns to look at his cluttered desk. Still messy, but presentable. I guess I'll have to sort these out later again. He got out of the sorting. Car, 5:30 p.m. From the ongoing downpour to the quiet hums of the car, they sit in silence, still miles off their destination. Hugo constantly checks the rearview mirror to see any passing cars. But it was only them on the road. Noah, who usually chats his ear off by now, leans quietly against the car door as he looks out to the passing streetlights, reserved and distant. He hasn't said a word to Hugo since they left the office. Hey, you're a lot quieter than usual. What's wrong? What a surprise. Have you been looking at me, Kuya? No, you idiot. You usually just talk a lot, that's all. So do you miss me talking? Just say it. Do you believe her story? What? Given all the things she told us, do you think she's telling the truth? Yes, I believe her. Or at least, I believe she hasn't lied to us. But you know, I can't shake this feeling that she is hiding something. Like if she left out a certain... Like if she left out certain details on purpose. Also, why did she have to travel this far out of town for a private eye? Surely there must have been another far closer to her home than ours. I just don't know how to explain it. As expected of you, Hugo. Are you making fun of me? No, not at all. I'm just admiring your observations. I just realized I'm blocking Hugo's face. Sorry, Hugo. I didn't want to offend Nina earlier, so I kept quiet until she finished. But her last name caught me off guard. Have you heard about the Mortimers? They're a pretty distinguished family that owned an esteemed fishing company. I'm gonna move my camera real quick. Okay, I'm down here now. I'm down here now. Hopefully, I won't block any of the text. Well, they used to, I believe. They have yet to name an heir. What do you mean? Shouldn't it naturally go to Nina? It should, but I don't know. From what I heard, each time they try to name a successor, that relative mysteriously disappears. Gone without a trace, or so anyone thought. Their bodies would soon turn up months after. And you know what's strange? All of them have been labeled as accidents by local news. No foul play, just another unfortunate loss for the family. They've been struck with so many tragedies that, over time, people began to believe they were cursed or something. Cursed? I think I can understand why she wouldn't go to the police again. They most likely thought she was seeing things and went along with the procedures just to keep face. But deep down, they must have thought she had gone mad. I can't imagine all this for Nina. And most of all, who knows what we'll find there? Is that why you decided to come with me? Well, partially. I'm more worried about you, though. Me? Why? Think of it this way. I'm the appointed driver. When you decide to do some pretty reckless shit, I'll be there to drive you to the local hospital. Huh. Besides, two is better than one. Exactly. I was fine with Colby coming with me. Well, have you heard that 3 is better than 2? Make myself maybe a bit smaller here, that way I'll block less text. Mortimer Estate, 6 p.m. Ooh. Through countless dirt roads and steep cliffs, the estate can finally be seen beyond the evergreen. Nestled away from prying eyes, it stands tall, magnificent, and classic. Truly a rarity only afforded to the privileged. And yet, with all its opulence, it looms from a distance. Hugo and Noah could only gaze at the sheer scale of the manor. Its grand stature topples easily over the dozens of houses they drove past. Wow, look at the size of it. I could never imagine seeing a house like this in person. It's almost too surreal. Come on, she's waiting for us. Where am I is the music that just kicked in. Immediately after exiting the driver's seat, a sudden sharp pain weighs heavy on Hugo's chest. Grasping tightly at his coat, he begins to grasp for air. His vision hazes as he leans close to the car, trying desperately to ground himself. Like a fish drawn out of the sea, desperately heaves. The air in his lungs escaping too quickly burns as he feels his throat start to strain, drawing tighter the more he breathes. But this pain pales in comparison to a feeling far more excruciating. Is it the house? No, something far more sinister. He feels it. Someone is watching him. A piercing gaze fixed on him, like leering at a bug and waiting to strike. We'll be together soon, Henry. What the hell? Damn it already. I need to hurry or else. Hey, you alright? Noah calls out to him, snapping him out of his fixated trance. Colby nudges his head against Hugo, whining with concern over his partner's well-being. Did you hear that just now? Hear what? That voice. It was so close to my ear, Is everything alright? Oh, I'm fine. Don't mind me. I'm just a bit winded out from the trip, that's all. I'd be happy to make you tea at the very least. If it's no trouble. No, not at all. It's the least I can do. Once again, the subtle uneasiness from Nina resurfaces. But before Hugo could get a chance to look further into it, she walked off towards the front porch without saying another word. Are you sure you're alright? You sounded like you were choking earlier. I said I'm fine. Besides, we're already here. We can't back out now. Listen to me. I think you should... Noah abruptly cuts his lecture short as he notices Nina stopping by the front door. She stands by the door silently, contemplating something. It's just like before, but this time, she seems even more anxious. Whatever unease she tried to mask earlier became more apparent the minute they walked closer to the front door. I don't like this. Let's go back to our office. Okay. I haven't been quite honest with you, Detective. Just like before, as if carefully choosing her next words, she decides that in this situation, words are not enough. You'll see for yourselves what I mean. And with that, Nina enters the house, leaving the three to follow behind. Hugo is about to enter through the foyer when he feels a tug on his arm. Don't forget what I told you. If something happens, let me know right away. You'll be the first to know. And with that, Noah releases his grip on Hugo. They proceed to head in, not knowing what awaits them beyond the door. Oh, we've seen this before. Greeted with a brilliantly lit hallway, Hugo notes immediately that the interior is just as grand. Adorned with floral accents and antique furnishings, the house itself exudes the word elegance. A classic and rustic charm with the walls and floorings made from the finest wood. Hugo couldn't help but gape when he walked in. However, he notices something even more distinct than the splendor. Behind the seemingly perfect veneer, an unsettling air breathes throughout the house, leaving no room for doubt that the inside is far more terrifying than the outside. Please, come this way. So this is the grandfather in the chair? Bracing themselves, they enter the dimly lit drawing room. He doesn't look very old. At first glance, Hugo could not discern the silhouette situated at the far corner. Only the sparse lighting from the window pierces through a fraction of the room's darkness. However, as they approach closer to the silhouette, Hugo now understands the reason for all of Nina's unsettling vagueness. Grandfather, we have guests. This is called Carla, this song. Sitting on the armchair is a very young man, not much older than Hugo or Noah. He is dressed modestly and shares none of the imposing presence of the manor. No, rather, such luxury does not even remotely reflect on the man before them at all. It's as if the flow of time had stopped only for him while the rest had continued changing drastically without him. Just like the letter, timeless, delicate, and jarringly out of place. Staring only at the window, the young man sits there dazed with little acknowledgement of the people around him. Still, motionless. Like a doll. Grandpa, these are the people I spoke of. This is Detective Laurent, and his two assistants, Kobe and Noah. They're going to help us. Oh, geez, Henry. Even after introducing them to the head of the Mortimer estate, Hugo and Noah could not help but feel unnerved. The man before them is supposed to be frail and older than any of them, and yet here he remains forever unchanging, forever young. They've come a long way, so I'll be making some tea. Would you also like some, Grandpa? He does not reply back, nor does he glance at Nina or anyone else in the room. Only fixates his gaze on the rain, nothing else. I'll be sure to make a cup for you too. She then timidly gestures to Hugo and Noah back to the foyer. Bearing more questions, the two follow Nina outside. But before they leave the drawing room, Hugo takes one last look at the young man. There's an all too familiar air about Henry Mortimer. His eyes, they're similar to his own. Whatever he must be longing for, Hugo knows it will never end. It will never end well. Nina, that man. Yes, he's my grandfather, the one I asked you all to watch over. I know this is hard to believe, but Nina draws something out from her pocket. It's an old picture of a handsome man with slicked back hair, wearing the finest of suits. The gentleman in the picture has a different air to him, one of wealth and power, none of which reflects at all on the current Henry Mortimer. It's almost as if looking at two different people. This isn't much to go by. Believe me, they are the same person. And why does he look so young? It happened a few nights ago. I was on my way to get a cup of water when I heard a loud thud coming from my grandfather's room. I was worried that something fell over, so I went to go check. When I opened the door, I found him collapsed on the ground. I rushed to help him up, but when I did, he looked so different. He wore the same clothes that my grandpa wore that night. And his face, I recognized his face. He looked younger. So many things were rushing through my head at the moment, and yet I knew he felt familiar to me. I know it sounds bizarre the more I talk about it, but that's what happened. That was also the same night I found that letter. It was next to him, already opened. Sorry again for all this. No matter who I went to, they either said something was wrong with me or my family. With everything going on, maybe they're right. The pools of water, the letters, Lewis, and now this. I've been ignoring the signs for years and just blindly hoping things can get better if I try finding solutions on my own. But that's not enough anymore. Maybe my family really is No, they're not. Curses aren't real. Detective? I think we easily get too involved in believing that sort of thing exists. In truth, the ones who fixate on it make it their reality. Rumors, doubts, lies, all those things are what they want to become real. Deep-rooted emotions like that can't possibly be healed or fixed right away. But like a curse, those emotions drag other people down with them. Personally, I think you were caught up in all of this, but I assure you, we'll see this through. For you and Mr. Mortimer. Thank you. Good. Now, our first priority is to find out more about Lewis. Nina, the letter you showed us back at the agency, do you have it with you? Yes, it's here. Do you mind if I borrow it for a bit? I'll be sure to give it back. Of course, but what are you going to do with it? I searched everything on that letter, and I still couldn't come up with the clues. I'll be using it as reference for a guide, if you will. Or a guide, if you will. I'm afraid I can't discuss too much of the process. Trade secret and all. Of course. I'll check upstairs, Noah. You and Colby check the ground floor. Got it. Before they leave to do their own investigations, Hugo grabs a hold of Noah's shoulder. He leans in close enough for Nina to not hear. Keep a close eye on Mr. Mortimer and Nina. Especially Nina. I don't want her to be dragged any more than she is already. Already is. So whatever happens, keep her safe. Hugo, you... Fine, but remember, yell for me, okay? I know. Thank you, Noah. Counting on you. You too, boy. With a final nod at them, Hugo then goes towards the staircase and heads upstairs. Noah stares for a moment longer at Hugo's back before he disappears into the first floor. He then turns to look at Colby. Well, it's time we get to work. Right, Colby? Investigation start. The objective is to look around the area for objects to proceed story. Use the arrows or arrow keys to move to a different area. Outlines will appear on clickable objects. Okay. On the top right is the hint button. Click it. It will highlight an object for you that you missed. So just hover over things. Clicking on Colby. Let's check out the phone. An old rotary dial telephone. It looks like it's still in good use. A delicate arrangement of voices and white roses. They seem to be fresh and fairly new. A large bookshelf stands to the entranceway. It contains a couple of photo albums and a few phone books. Can't look at the painting. Doesn't seem to be anything over here. Unless... Oh. It's letting me click on him. Mr. Mortimer still sits motionless by the corner of the room, his gaze never leaving the rain. Oh, maybe I have to do them kind of like in order. Okay. Frames decorating the walls are covered in white sheets, veiled with a thin lining of dust on top of each one. Okay. Wow, there's so many paintings covering the walls. Are there more like this all over the house? Yes, my grandfather commissioned many back in the day. But sadly, he doesn't do that anymore. Doesn't seem like he would. Nina, I can't help but notice the paintings are covered. How come? I did that. I covered them up for my grandfather's sake. For his sake? Yes, he was pretty obsessed with them, you see. There were times when he would mutter to himself and would just stare at the paintings for days on end. It worried me so much that I had to cover them all. Since then, he hasn't stared at any of them. He just sits quietly looking outside. I see. About the paintings, I also noticed they all have a similar theme. They all had water in them. I know this isn't a coincidence since you told us before, but if there's anything you know, anything at all, then please tell me. Yeah, water seems to be the theme here. Noah, can I ask you a question first? Sure, go ahead. Do you believe in mermaids? Oh, mermaids? I don't suppose I do. Why? Casting her gaze to the floor, Nina anxiously fidgets and tightly clasps her hands together. She then briefly sighs and continues. Well, there's this story, or rather, more like a fairy tale that my family has passed down. A fairy tale? Yes, it feels like one to me. It was about a fisherman who fell in love with a mermaid. Every day and night he would go out by the shore to gaze at her beauty, but one day she vanished, leaving him confused and heartbroken. Determined he would sail many seas for a chance to see her again. Sailing from coast to coast, new lands beyond and back, he would go. Not long after, fortune followed him all throughout his journey, and made him one of the wealthiest and most highly respected in his village. However, despite all the wealth he gained through his travels, he never found the mermaid again. She would only be a dream, nothing more. And that's the end of the story. It doesn't end happily, but I guess there was a lesson behind all of it. I just never understood it. What do you think happened to the mermaid? I know it's an exaggeration, and yet I can't help but wonder. It's hard to say. I just feel bad for both of them. To be honest with you, I'm not a fan of sad endings. If it were me, I would wish the fisherman and mermaid could see each other again. Or at least, that's what I think. Even if they weren't meant to be with each other. Yeah, I think so at least. I wouldn't want to imagine going through a journey all by myself. It's hard being alone. Journey all by yourself. A solitary journey? Mortimer Estate, 11:30. After searching vigorously through each of the rooms, he knew his findings would eventually lead him here. This is it. Hugo walks towards the nearest lampshade and switches it on. Dimly illuminated, he sees the extent of how lavish this part of the house is. From the customized window drapes to the vintage furnishings, everything here exudes that extravagance. But much like the interior Hugo has seen so far, he finds this one in particular reeks of it. Plastered from wall to wall, a gloom lingers. It's as if the room itself is moldering despite its preserved nature. So what's in the chest? Classic wooden chest lies at the foot of the canopy bed. Its lock still firmly holds, safeguarding whatever's inside. Can we find a key, maybe? An old photo of a lost time, a sweet summertime memory of a little girl, their beloved grandfather. Atop the fireplace, unblemished and unmarked by time, hangs a curious and familiar painting of a beautiful woman floating on water. A mermaid? Let's check the papers first. Scattered pieces of paper, all forgotten, lie waiting on the cold floor. Heavily etched markings are found scrawled all over the papers. A pristine pearl-white tea set sits patiently by, untouched and unused for quite some time. A leather-bound journal rests on the edge of the table. Its pages are torn out so haphazardly that the binding itself is starting to fall out. Anything else I can check over here? A meticulously organized set of academic books ranging from nonfiction to geography are all on display. However, hidden away behind the vast collection are some children's fairy tales, all carefully kept. I need to hurry. I don't want to stay here for too long. 11:50. He searches and still there is no sign of Lewis. To Hugo, even if there is a fragment, a singular thread to that person, to their real selves, he could find them. But there is nothing. Not one thing pertaining to him. It's as if the thought of Lewis barely exists at all. What is going on? I clearly sensed that presence from before, but it's gone again. Damn it, I wish I had more time. No, calm down. It has to be here. I just need to focus. He ponders again, retracing every step and every little detail, hoping that he overlooked something. Yet all he knows is that the one tangible thing that connects him, that tethers so closely to this space, and most of all to Henry, is the letter. Words of promise, of love, all delicately etched onto a page, but tainted with the powerful and dark emotion that has been festering for too long. Tainted. From the very start of all this, Hugo believed that whoever Lewis was, they were the ones responsible. He thought he could find them and convince them to stop their hunting for good, to bring them peace, and to move on. However, that isn't the case anymore. The unnatural force that binds everyone so closely together in this family is not the cause of an angry spirit. No, it's something far more devious than that. As he takes the letter out from the envelope, he notices a change within. Bearing no foreboding, read at the bottom of the page, it looks just like a regular letter, or rather, what it once was. A sad and tragic love. If you can't come, then I'll understand. Things have gotten more complicated with your mother ever since she found out about us, right? I'm sorry, Henry, for everything. It hurts to see you torn up like this. I would never hurt you or drag you along with me. If this is to be our farewell, then can I ask you one last favor? Could you keep my locket? I know this is selfish of me, but I'd like for you to have it. I'd be happy to know it's safe with you. My heart will forever be yours, Henry. With love always, Lewis? Lois? Louis? I don't know, sorry. So this was the true letter. A small warmth emanates from the paper, wrapping closely around his fingers, quiet and soothing. The fragment Hugo was searching for. Lois, I'm sorry. You were also a victim in all this too. Please, if you can hear me, I need your help. Without warning, the sound of a click can be heard across the bedroom. Ooh, the chest? As if something unlocked itself. Hugo turns his head towards the sound and sees the chest. Unlike the other furniture, its dark and rustic features have not been maintained well. Left to rot on its own. Suddenly he stops at the sound of a voice. A sweet voice whispering to him, beckoning him towards the fireplace. Come here, my dear, sweet boy. Go to the painting or don't go to the painting. Ooh. I want to check out the chest. I don't know, that's freaking me out. I'm not going to the painting. No, stay focused, Hugo. I won't let it get to me. Preparing himself, he heads towards the chest and opens it. Inside, scrambled together, are bunches of notebooks and small trinkets. Hugo continues to rummage through when he stumbles across an old newspaper article. Young man found dead by the lake. Cage. An unidentified young man was found on the morning of said date, 3 days prior to his death according to the police. Ruled as a suicide, police have claimed that the troubled youth drowned himself. This certainly is a tragic loss, an unfortunate event indeed. No claim of his body has been made yet. Lewis? By the corner of Hugo's eye, he spots a bright glint buried beneath the clutter. He reaches for it. It was the locket. A locket of brilliant gold shines unblemished, retaining a timeless luster. Inside it safeguards a picture of a young man with glasses smiling brightly. This must be the locket that he was talking about. It's so pretty. I'm surprised it still shines like this. And this picture... Did he put this here? No, it might have been Henry. But why would he store it away like this? What should I do? Take the locket or leave the locket? Ooh. I feel like the locket is gonna be key. If I take it, maybe I can break whatever cycle is going on here. But if I leave it alone, maybe respecting the privacy and why it's locked up there will break the cycle of what's going on. Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna leave it. Take it? Leave it? Leave it. I think it's best to put it back for now. Hugo hears a distant and faint cry call out to him, pleading him to take the locket with him. Lewis? Hugo's about to put everything back into the chest when he feels a wet and cold sensation crawling up his leg. Ooh. What? Water flowing in. A pool of water relentlessly spreads across the floor, already seeping into the chest. Damn it, no! Suddenly the lights shut off. A scream is heard, followed by a myriad of shouts. Hugo's about to call out to Noah, but stops at the sight of pale feet before him. Oh no. Looming over him stands a tall and ominous figure. His face is shrouded in complete darkness, devoid of any human emotion. It appears as a young man, but Hugo knows that it's far from it. No, this very thing is trying to imitate a human form, trying to be human. Hugo could only stare back. Paralyzed with fear, he is forced to watch with horror as it slowly creeps toward him. Maybe I should have taken the locket. It's just like before, the sensation of someone staring at him from within. But this time it's drawing nearer, inching ever so closely. The words call out to Kobe, and Noah fail to reach out. Lodged in his throat, he struggles in pain. With his breathing shallow, he tries to force his body to move. And then it stops. Looking down at Hugo, filled with nothing but malice and contempt, it speaks. Oh, don't get in my way. All of a sudden, the door to the bedroom slams shut and the entity disappears. The tension from his body finally releases its agonizing grip, and he gasps desperately for air. His vision blurs and his breathing is haggard. He staggers towards the door. He yanks at the handle several times, but it's tightly jammed. Noah, Kobe! To his dismay, he is only greeted with silence at the other end of the door. Damn it. From a distance, he faintly hears the sounds of Kobe's relentless barking as it gets further away from the house. Hugo rushes towards the window. He tries to pry it open, but just like the door, heavy force prevents him from doing so. Like being underwater, his movements slow and drawn out, as if being dragged down by that thing. Frantically looking around the room, he spots a nearby chair. About a moment sooner, Hugo grabs a chair and starts to strike the window. Bit by bit, the window cracks get larger with each blow, splitting off with smaller pieces. What the hell is this thing made out of? Still trying to catch his breath, he musters all the strength he has left for a final blow. Damn you, just break already! Clearing out the remaining glass shards, Hugo peers his head out to see any railing he can grab hold of. However, he discovers instead that the wall adjacent is covered in ivy. Despite how heavy the rain has drastically become, he reaches out for it, grabbing a handful of the vines. Carefully, he climbs out the window, gripping tightly and making sure he doesn't lose his footing. Yet to his luck, the patch of vines he clutches start to tear away from the wall. Out of desperation, he struggles to find his grip on another, but fails when his hand flips out of reach. Shit. Clamoring wildly, he loses grip on the ivy. He crash lands down onto a thicket of bushes. Air forced out of him, he heaves uncontrollably, trying to even out his breathing. But even that is laborious. An immense pain spreads across not only his back, but his entire body. God, I'm getting too old for this. Although his body screams out in pain, he forces himself up. There's still time. I can do this. I have to do this. With staggering feet and haggard breathing, he makes his way to the place where it all started. To the lake, where this tragedy starts and ends. Ooh, lake. Unknown time. Finally entering through the park, Hugo calls out to Kobe and Noah. Kobe, Noah, where are you? He hears faintly the sound of barking and echoes of people yelling in the distance. He rushes towards the echoes, guiding him through the downpour. With his heart racing and blood rushing to his head, he finds his way to the lake. Drawing closer, he sees Nina giving chase to her grandfather. Unfortunately, she doesn't get too far as Noah stops her. Grandpa, stop! Grandpa! Let me go! My grandpa, he's... No, Nina, it's dangerous. You'll get hurt too. I don't care. I don't want to lose anyone anymore. It's at that instant Hugo trudges against the water, pursuing in Nina's stead. Hugo? No, don't! Please fall deaf to his ears. Not even the whines and worried cries of his partner could make him turn back. Determined, he forges ahead. Nearing the deep end of the lake, he sees Henry Mortimer, gazing directly at the abyss. He looks even more frail and disheveled than before. It's as if all the life he's lived up until this point has begun to fray, draining every ounce of himself, and surrendering it all to the lake. Before Henry could lean in, Hugo reaches out and tugs at his arm. Mr. Mortimer, listen to me. Nothing is waiting for you down there, so please come back to the shore with me. Motionless and unresponsive, he stares deeply into the water. The haze over his eyes is still obscure and persistent. There are so many things we cannot afford to lose in our lives. And you're one of them. To Nina, you're all she has left. She needs you, Mr. Mortimer. Hugo felt it. A slight jolt from Henry's arm, as if stirred by the mention of Nina. He slowly turns to face Hugo. Nina? However, just as cruel and violent as the storm, Henry jerks back, wrenching his arm away from Hugo's hold on him. No, all of this is my fault. If only I got to Lewis sooner, then none of this would have happened. He was waiting for me, was patient with me. And yet for all the things he's done, I chose my family over him. He's gone because I didn't pick him. Henry backs further away from the shoreline. Mr. Mortimer. His manic eyes never straying away from Hugo as he keeps his distance from him. Lewis, I'm sorry. I was the one who dragged you into this. You deserve so much more. And I wished Henry struggles over his words. He clasps tightly to his shirt, his throat dry and taut from all that he has bottled up. From all those repressed and silent years of just waiting for this curse to finally take him. I wished I had gone with you that night, Lewis. Sir, even if you still covet that wish, it wouldn't resolve anything. Not for you or Lewis. I've had enough. Lewis is waiting for me. He's waiting for me to come home. Before Hugo could reach out for Henry's hand, he disappears into the water. Mr. Mortimer! Without hearing the anguished cries and desperate pleas, Hugo dives after him into the abyss. Unknown, unknown. Plunging into icy waters, Hugo feels shocks running rampant throughout his body. Spikes continuously piercing from his legs to the tips of his fingers, fiercely and unyielding. His chest tightens and his heart races as he begins to kick his legs, hoping whichever way he goes, he'll find his way to Henry. Swimming deeper and deeper in, he sees faintly a figure slowly descending into the darkness. As he finally gets closer to Henry, long snake-like arms stretch across the void and grab Hugo's neck, violently squeezing all the air from him. He tries desperately to wrench his hands away, but with each struggle, Hugo's movements begin to weigh heavier and heavier, water filling into his lungs and his vision starts to blur. Cold numbness spreads. Tired and motionless, he watches on as the abyss draws near, swallowing him, embracing him. Let's share this happy ending together. He feels nothing, his body weightless and floating for who knows how long. It's cold. So very, very cold. How long has it been since he felt this? This empty feeling of just not being here or anywhere? It's comforting and nostalgic. Maybe, just maybe, this isn't so bad after all. I think this is for the best. Oh no, it's far, far from over, Hugo. After all, you said so yourself. Seeing the things you do come with a price, right? And oh, what a hefty price has been paid for your stupid little blunder. Sucks I didn't take the locket. So get up, Hugo. We are far from having a happy ending. Hugo! Hugo's eyes shot right open, his vision disoriented and a blur. As he tries to focus on Noah's voice, a violent tide bursts within him as he coughs out the remaining water in his lungs. He can feel Noah's hands rub against his back, anchoring him and checking to see if he's all right. But deep down, there's something far more concerning to worry about at this moment. Where's Mr. Mortimer? I'm sorry, Hugo. I tried going back into the water after I fetched you, but the paramedics stopped me. They told me it was too cold and dangerous to head back in. Oh, it can't be. I'm sorry, Hugo. No, please, God, no. He couldn't hear the rest of it. His body trembles as his hands clasp tightly together in a fervent prayer, wishing for a miracle to happen before them. To have Mr. Mortimer return to them finally safe from harm. But for this silent wish, this small and glaringly impossible wish, no one would answer. There was no kindness in this sunrise. Only the gut-wrenching wails of a woman by the shore pleading to any god who can save her grandfather. But no matter how many would try to search through the water, they wouldn't be able to find him. For there was no one left to save anymore. Just a washed-up, forgotten tale of a man and his mermaid. As Hugo tries to stifle his cry and soothe the lump lodged deeply in his throat, he hears it. A laugh, a cruel and heartless laugh, echoes from the lake across the lake, mocking him, cursing him. A harrowing and merciless victory for this curse. A curse. It was a curse after all. Bad end. No! A mermaid's tail. Dang it. It's because I didn't take the locket, huh? Ah! Dang. I'm guessing if I would have taken the locket and had that moment in the lake, maybe that would have, like, snapped him out of it and been able to save him. What if I didn't take the case at all? Maybe I would have just got like a ultra bad ending at that point. Interesting. Like I said, I at the start of this, I was just gonna take whichever ending I got. I'll maybe check out the other endings because I'm actually quite curious. So I might just check out a video on those um, in my spare time. But let me know what y'all thought of this. I actually really enjoyed this. I thought the writing was actually quite good. Like the way that like the descriptive text like was actually really good at describing objects and environments that we were in. I felt really immersed in things. Um, I actually liked quite a few of the music tracks as well, along with it. I don't know if they. I'll have to look it up after this. I'm not sure if they were custom made or like pre-made ones, but I still enjoyed them. Um, they really added to the atmosphere quite a bit there. So, um, but yeah, shout out to the dev group for this game. I can see why it won some awards there. And yeah, I was really happy to be able to experience it. So hopefully you enjoyed my playthrough and read through of Stillwater. I'll catch up with you next time. Take care, everybody.